wow, that's very hard, Krishna. I know Shiva does it. I know so-and-so does it, but for me, I'm genetically Rajasic, right? He's full of passion. So he's thinking, he's hearing. But then he understands, oh, wow, the goal of someone austerity is not to get fame, is not to get adoration. The goal of someone austerity is to realize God. So the example is the sun. It has a sun planet. And then when you look through a window, you will see the sun rays. But in the yoga culture, we understand, wait, the sun, there's a sun deity as well. So similarly, the deity of the sun, Surya or Vivasvan, Krishna told Arjuna earlier, I taught the science to Vivasvan thousands of years ago. Similarly, there's a God as a spiritual being. Then the localized Paramatma is like if you put 100 buckets of water and the sun is up there, you look, you'll see the sun in every bucket. Yes, so God in everyone's heart. And then the rays of the sun. So the Brahma Jyoti is like the rays of the spiritual form coming from God. So someone can be attracted to either one of these and get a level of self-realization. Now, as you go deeper, we understand that to get to merge the oneness of God and God's energy is beautiful. It's a spiritual realization, but there is no relationship there. And each and every one of us as a spiritual being, we naturally have inclination to relationships. And to have a relationship, you need to have that relationship with another living entity. And so a lot of times in the Vyasadeva would write in the Vedas, yogis get Brahma Jyoti realization. And after a long time, something is hankering in their heart. They want a relationship, a spiritual relationship. So then they might hear, they don't hear Om anymore, they hear the Maha Mantra. And the Maha Mantra triggers in their consciousness, oh, I can go deeper and go to the next aspect of God realization, the Paramatma realization, the divine person. So in the Maha Mantra, it's described in Kali Yuga, the vibration of Om, the same vibration that comes out through the Om exists within the Maha Mantra. So in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, it's very hard to find one of these classical schools of yoga that teaches what Krishna is saying here. But the sound vibration of God through God's names can take one directly to the realization of loving God as a person. And that's why when we look around the culture today on our planet, we see every spiritual culture has some way to connect to God through sacred sound. And it's not just like, it's a name of God from that language. So there's so many languages on our planet. There's so many languages in the universe, right? So each language has a name for God. And if the practitioner dedicate themselves to just hearing that sacred sound in Kali Yuga, we can become purified much faster of the toxins, the yogis call it anarthas, the toxins in the mind from the seeds of tamas and rajas, remove them through sacred sound. Does that mean we don't chant Om in Kali Yuga at all? No, we do. Does that mean we should give up on celibacy? No, we do. So my teacher used to say, even if you are married, you should evolve your consciousness to such a degree where you respect the sacred act of intimacy. That two beings who are evolving spiritually can practice celibacy within their relationship. The yogic situation is that detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that part is no sense gratification whatsoever. That part is completely turning inwards, complete control of the senses, not even for 1 second. So he's just reestablishing this part. Detachment from all sensual engagements. So this is the opposite to what he just told him in chapter 5. In chapter 5, he told Arjuna, use your senses to serve God. Use your gifts here. So that's called the yoga of love, bhakti. Now he's reminding Arjuna, oh, you want to go? This is up there in the Himalayas. No use of the senses whatsoever. Krishna is showing us that in the Vedic culture, there are many ways, yes? There are troublesome ways, like this way he's teaching Arjuna right now, and there are more practical ways. So we have to use our level of intellect, which has my calling, and then go with that flow. So if you are very austere type, some people are born with this psyche. They love austerities. Oh, you want me to go in the snow, cold, freezing cold? I'll do it. You want me to practice that? I'll do it. Some people just have those natural abilities. We cannot imitate them, right? And for me, I had that when I was young, but then I reached a certain age and I realized, oops, artificial. At a certain age, it's so powerful, the mental strength, the determination. Then I realized, okay, I understood my psyche, and like out of about 30 of us, I think only maybe about 6 of my friends stayed living that austere life. And you can see it's there, samskaras. Certain age, some samskaras, the seed starts to blossom into fruits. So, oh man, I got to be real. So we see as we age, right? You tell a kid who is 5 years old, practice celibacy. They don't even know what that is, right? Natural. But 14, the same child at 14, the seed starts to blossom into fruit. Practice celibacy, what? Especially in an environment which is pervasive with rajas and tamas. So there are many ways to self-realization. Krishna is describing the most challenging way for Arjuna now. Good, let's close in all the doors. And again, I can hold my breath maybe about 4 minutes these days, but you hear about yogis holding, closing their doors, their gates, thousands of years. Krishna says, after being situated in this yogic practice, they're practicing celibacy, they're chanting they're situated there and vibrating the sacred syllable the supreme combination of letters. If one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So this is a lifestyle that one would choose so that at the end of life, their last thought will be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? It's not to brag about it, or when you're in it for the right process, to have that last thought. And so we want the supreme destination. We want to attain this consciousness where we, at the last thought, we have the supreme deity in our head, in our mind. And that's why in our last class, I explained we can develop it by just a little practice every day. Every day, sit down, Gaze into the center of the eyebrows. Hold your deity. And then simultaneously chant mantras, right? Chant the Maha Mantra. Hold the deity. And humbly request the deity to be there at your last breath. This is a sacred prayer the yogis have, because there's so many thoughts that can come in and out of the mind. So there's a saying, what is the proof of your sadhana? Sadhana means practice. What is the proof of your sadhana? You can make a show that you're doing sadhana, right? I can have on the big beads, or, I can have on the saffron robes, or whatever, the cross, whatever, the piece of cloth on the head. All these are part of sadhana. They should help us so that our internal mind is constantly focused on divinity. We go deep into quieting the mind, concentrating on the mind, having that spiritual connection with God. It's something we cherish inside. And the proof of that is what we have in our mind when we take our last breath. It doesn't depend on CNN, it doesn't depend on the news, the media, nothing, right? A lot of advanced yogis, they go so deep, they take that last breath, and then they gracefully go back to the spiritual dimension. And the whole world, or not the whole world, but most of the world doesn't even know. Some yogis, they have fame karma. So if you have the fame karma, it comes on its own accord. They didn't strive for it, it just comes. So when they do their last, then it influences the planet like that. But a lot of yogis don't have that fame karma, right? It's rare you find a spiritual being, they're like, we can say like someone like Mother Teresa, right? She had that fame karma, right? The Dalai Lama have the fame karma. Desmond Tutu had the fame karma, right? There are certain evolved spiritual beings who it's a byproduct. They didn't strive for it. It just came on their own accord. But that's only a handful of spiritual beings who we know of. Most of the other, hardly anyone knows them. But they are able to go deep into their concentration, right? So as we practice our sadhana, it's for our evolution and your connection with divinity. And that's the beautiful thing about the inner work of yoga. Go within, evolve. And then as vibration comes around you, people can pick it up. Wow, this person is so different. This person practiced pratyahara. This person practiced sense control. This person, right? So we might not be able to practice this standard that Krishna is saying, like Satyaga, but we can still put them into practice to a certain degree, right? It is very beautiful when you can practice pratyahara, right? When you know one of your senses are pulling you and you're able to, okay, Charu, control it. And once you control it, a certain pleasure, spiritual pleasure comes in from the heart space, enters our mind, right? So we do practice them, but that's not to this degree that he's explaining to Arjuna at this moment.